Archetypes are specific entities that come into your electromagnetic field, your aura, your physical body, your physical, emotional, spiritual bodies. And what they do is not only influence, more specifically, shape your energy to fit that archetypical shape and form. And so, what the archetype gets out of this is that you are keeping it alive, right? So, if you've ever seen the Avengers or any of those Marvel movies, these are a lot of archetypical forms, right? You have Steve Rogers, Captain America, the soldier archetype, the hero archetype, the kind of like do-gooder, morally just archetype. Iron Man, you have like the like quippy, witty, kind of cocky, and also narcissistic archetypes. Where you have Vision and Wanda as like the lovers, the hopeless, like the star-crossed almost lovers, like Romeo and Juliet, or other archetypical characters. If you look at any of like the anything in tarot, especially those characters on the cards are archetypical beings, angels, even demons, or other types of archetypes. And so when we fear being them, when we aspire to be them or like them, we are giving them our power. In a sense, we're saying, I don't like or accept myself as I am. I want to be more like you. And so as we create and shape who we are, we definitely want to do it intentionally as possible, while also honoring and respecting our individual journey and self in this life. So if there's any way that you're becoming or feeding fear, anxiety, self-diminishing, self-silencing, minimizing your presence, it's likely that there are sort of archetypes within you, and I'm setting intention right now to liberate those archetypes. So as you're hearing this or listening to this, I'm kind of like radiating or vibrating at such a frequency so as to like release any sort of negative archetypes. The religious ones are called egregors, or like it's all about like egregious acts. And so when one of these specific archetypes, the egregious types, come into your field, what you may notice is that, the most subtle thing is your posture. Posture influences a train of thought, but it's all connected. It's all part of the same thing. Part of the same thing, which is you. Not just your body. There's also an emotional body, a mental body, a spiritual body. And they all compose all of what you truly are. And so when these things start to get into your field, your awareness, they can end up shaping who you are and how you are. Coming back to the egregious archetypes, that's when you start really that's when you really start thinking like dark and violent thoughts or perverse thoughts. That keeps them alive. That feeds them. The energy that it takes, however subtle you think it is, to think these thoughts, that's what they're feeding off of, and that's what's keeping them alive. And so other vibrational beings that are outside of our visible spectrum, because that's where they are, of like the more positive or light ones, right? Like the angels, ascended masters, beings of light, are technically archetypical beings, but what they feed off of is love in a way that doesn't diminish your love, rather it adds to it, right? The energies of bliss, love, purpose, gratitude not only gives them power, but attracts more of that to you. So it's always, and like why I harp on meditation so much is because it's really just being aware of your current state of being. And once you become aware of that without trying necessarily to control it, I mean, really just taking note of what it is without judging or control or force or any of that, that's really the key in raising your vibration and getting through the more negative or undesirable like events or experiences or emotional states of being. Because the more we resist them, the more we are resisting what is presently happening. And so the more we resist it, instead of allowing it to pass through us, the slower it passes through us. It's going to pass through us no matter what. Right? Joseph Campbell says, every emotion fully felt is bliss. That's because like even grief or hurt of any kind, the more you resist it, like the more you're trying to not feel something. And so like the more time seems to drag on, and the slower it ends up passing through you, the more like the body tenses, right? Tension in the body is resistance to something. And so getting out of or dealing with archetypical influence really is all about becoming aware, which is to say accepting the present moment. Awareness in itself is a form of unconditional love. Being aware of something, simply that light awareness of like, oh yeah, that thing is here. That's what's going on. I am feeling this way, good or bad, is one of the most foundational aspects of unconditional love. Because acceptance and to an extent allowing is like communicating, is vibrating at the frequency of this is what is happening, and I'm not judging it. I'm not hating it. I'm not loving it. It simply is. And without that first step, you can't move to the second step. which is, if there's an egregious archetype or entity, a negative archetype of like hatred or envy, greed, anger, resentment, and especially as it pertains to entities or malignant or errant spirits. These are souls, spirits, who in their incarnated lives were not loved. And so essentially what keeps them alive is, or keeps them from moving on, is continuing to not be loved. And so whenever we do energy work, light work, healing, energetic healing, or spiritual healing, all we're doing is sending a person awareness and unconditional love. And that is the tool in the end. And so the more you practice embodying, vibrating, and sending a person awareness, right? Being seen, being heard, sending them that feeling, that vibration, kind of guiding their spirit, their soul into tuning into that frequency. That's what allows healing. And so where some people may say, a healer doesn't heal another person, to an extent that's true. But on the other side of that, we're social beings. We are all, each one of us individually, manifestations of the universe and so much more. And evolutionarily speaking, we are social creatures. So this interdependence on one another is simply part of the game. It's part of the play that we're actors in. You may say, I'm not healing you, you're healing yourself, and to an extent that's true. But without me as the catalyst, the healing wouldn't be able to take place. It's just, we're in this scene together. And I'm reading my lines, and you're reading your lines. And at this point in the play, in the game, this is where our characters meet and interact and are changed because of this interaction.